Friends, welcome to Green Card Guys TV. In this episode, you're going to learn why you shouldn't file your immigration application for green card until you do these three things. Tip number one, create the joint bank account. Now, I've had people come to my office and say that they don't want to add each other to the joint bank account. I'd like to share a story. I've had some clients come to my office and say that they don't want to add each other to their own individual accounts. I think that is a bad idea. Now, I can understand if some of the accounts don't have each other together, but there has to be at least one account, savings and a checking account, where they're added to each other's account. Now, if you want to just, let's say, have the immigrant beneficiary join the US citizen or residence bank account or vice versa, that's okay, as long as it's one set of financial accounts. Tip number two is that they want to see income, money coming in to the account being deposited. Now, I recommend to all my clients, I advise them to have, if their employer allows direct deposit for their wages, that the money needs to come in from, they need to set that up because it should show on the line item in the bank account that the money is coming from the employer with the employer's name. So that's a clear indication to the USCIS officer that that money is not being transferred from another account. Now, granted, I do have a lot of clients that just transfer money from their main individual account into the joint account. I prefer that it's not done that way, but as long as the money come in, that's fine. There have been cases where there have been people that come into my office where they're seeking a second lawyer because the first one didn't advise them correctly. And when I look at all the bank accounts or financial accounts, I see very minimal money in the account. Now, I can understand time is tough in 2020, pandemic wise, but there has to be at least some money, whether it's checking or savings, and to show activity. We all know that people are relying on Amazon, for example, or Instacart, and people are still going to the grocery store. So you have to at least have those kind of expenses on your bank account. Friends, if you're new to our channel, please click subscribe down below, click the bell so you get all our future notifications of our tips and news. Number three, you'll want to add your spouse as a POD onto one of your checking and savings account. That means POD means payable on death, which means if you in the event that you pass away, that any and all of the money in your accounts will go to your spouse. This is a very clear indication to USCIS officer that you're married. I mean, yes, most people think that the marriage certificate is enough to show that you're married. Sure, legally. But we're talking about that you actually care about each other enough that you want to give your money up. Everyone loves their money. But when you pass away, you can't do anything about that money anyway. So please consider this tip. Add your spouse as a POD. And if you do want a consultation from us, the best way is to self-schedule an appointment. The link is down below. And share this video to your friends and colleagues, especially if you know that they have a similar situation. We greatly appreciate that. Please go ahead and smash the like button. Leave a comment below if you're facing a situation like this. And lastly, please join our Facebook group. It's called Immigrant Guide and Support Living in America. It's a community where people share their challenges and successes, and also a place where people can share tips on how to get acclimated in living in the United States. Until next time, please continue wearing your mask. Now you're getting a couple more bonus tips here. The first one being add your spouse to your credit card as a what they call secondary account holder. Now, sometimes people don't use a credit card that often. That's okay because sometimes people use debit card more often than a credit card. But in the event that you do use a credit card, at least for some expenses, add one spouse to the other spouse's account. I highly recommend that because now you should be able to add your spouse to the account online when you log in. And so what we need in terms of the package when we send out to USCIS is the confirmation, okay, online. So even if it's a screenshot, if you can't save it as a PDF, that's fine. But have something that shows that you have one or other have joined each other's credit card. Sure enough, the government will say, well, if you do have a credit card, why didn't you add your other spouse? If anything, in personal reasons, that could boost your spouse's credit score. Here's a second bonus tip. That is continue using these financial accounts, checking account, or the credit card regularly. Like I said before, if you prefer to use your debit card, that's fine, but continue to use it. But it has to be the one that will have normal activity throughout the year. Because number one, the USCIS, they will send you an interview notice that has on the list that they want updated bank accounts by the time you go to the interview, at least 12 months later from the date of filing. And here's why. You might know, but some people don't know. So I want to be very clear because they want to see if you have been incurring expenses together, essentially, that you're both liable for the expenses. I recommend to not use cash, okay? Use the card because that will log all your expenses. If you use cash, then you're gonna have to keep the receipts, and that's just cumbersome. That's burdensome for you and your lawyer to keep track of those. So use your debit card at the very least. And also, the reason is because at the interview, they'll want to see your updated financial accounts. So there's a very easy way for the officer to say, okay, seems like a legitimate marriage. And they just quickly flip through it. In my experience, in our firm's experience, the officers don't usually look at the account that closely unless they see there's only a couple line items, transaction activity. Then they will think something's fishy. And that would be a concern to them, a red flag. We do our best with our clients to prevent red flags, although it may be a legitimate reason that you don't have that many expenses. So we'll have to ask you your story and why that is. Friends, thank you for taking the time to watch our channel. Click over here so you can watch our most recent uploads. We'll see you soon.